impeachments of Donald Trump. The measure would be purely symbolic and non-binding. McCarthy justified his position by claiming that both impeachments had no due process. In the past 2 weeks, Biden has been cracking jokes about his age more often than usual. He's dropped some version of the punchline, he's old and he knows it, during events on gun safety and international diplomacy, at campaign fundraisers, and in a speech about abortion rights. The more direct approach as Biden ramps up his re-election campaign is a shift from the way he's typically tried to make light of his age, noting he's been around a long time. A push to tie Medicaid to work is making a comeback. Georgia is at the forefront. The Medicaid changes sought in Congress did not survive a debt ceiling compromise, but Georgia's plan, called Georgia Pathways to Coverage, has proceeded and will begin this July. Despite their disparate outcomes, the moves in Washington and Atlanta reflect a renewed determination among conservatives in various parts of the country to tie eligibility for the largest form of public health insurance to work. The 49-page indictment against Donald Trump for mishandling classified documents and obstructing justice is largely focused on how boxes of sensitive documents ended up crammed into the nooks, crannies, and even a chandelier-adorned bathroom of Trump's Florida estate, Mar-a-Lago. But two of the indictment's most vivid scenes took place about 1,200 miles to the north. Prosecutors accused Trump of showing off classified documents to employees and others not authorized to see them, not once, but twice, at his sprawling golf club on the rural plains of New Jersey. Daniel Penny was arraigned for a second time this morning, 2 weeks after a New York grand jury indicted him for placing Jordan Neely in a fatal chokehold in a subway train in May. The arraignment is a procedural step after the 24-year-old Marine veteran was indicted by a grand jury in the death of Mr. Neely, a 30-year-old Black man, in a minutes-long incident caught on film. If convicted of second-degree murder, Penny faces 5 to 15 years in prison. The Supreme Court ruled on Tuesday that the First Amendment imposes limits on laws that make it a crime to issue threats on the internet, saying that prosecutors must prove that a Colorado man who had sent disturbing messages to a singer-songwriter had acted recklessly in causing emotional harm. The state must show that the defendant consciously disregarded a substantial risk that his communications would be viewed as threatening violence. Justice Elena Kagan wrote the 7-2 majority opinion. And today, President Biden delivered remarks on Bidenomics and how his economic agenda is growing our economy from the middle out and from the bottom up. The president's economic vision is centered around 3 key pillars: making smart public investments, empowering and educating workers to grow the middle class, and promoting competition to lower costs and help entrepreneurs and small businesses thrive. You are listening and watching Areva Martin in real time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin. This is your one-stop destination for today's trending news, expert analysis, and my unfiltered opinions. In this hour, we go beyond and behind the headlines, and we dig deep on those stories and issues people are talking about. In this hour today, we are exploring conservative lawmakers' obsession with banning drag shows. Now, drag shows have become the latest target of conservative criticism. Since the beginning of this year alone, 32 bills have been introduced in states from Arkansas to South Carolina to South Dakota and Tennessee. Texas and Virginia also got in the game, targeting drag performances. Now, the details of the legislation changes from state to state, but these bills represent a very, very dangerous chilling of Americans' right to free speech. See, the U.S. Supreme Court long determined that clothing, yes, what you decide to wear as clothing, that you have a constitutional right to express yourself via your clothing, and that how you express yourself is a protected form of speech under the First Amendment. So when entertainers dress in drag, they are exercising their right to choose what clothing they wear, i.e., they are exercising their constitutional right, a constitutional right that has been recognized and upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, my theory is that this isn't about dress. This isn't about the shows. This isn't about the entertainment, but it's really a way that these conservative lawmakers can target and intimidate individuals who identify as transgender and non-binary. These performers are being frightened. They're being intimidated into hiding, many of them, as these shows are being canceled and limited all over the country. Today, I'm talking to entertainers who dress in drag, who do drag, who perform at nightclubs, who perform on television, and who see their entertainment as a constitutional right and see how they dress during their entertainment as their right to express themselves. And talk to these guests and see if they know why conservative lawmakers are so obsessed with them and get them to explain what so many people get wrong about dressing in drag and about drag entertainers. Stay with us. All of that coming up when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my. House shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar, shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head. Yeah.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580. Yes. Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about.
I'm back, and you are listening to Areva Martin in Real Time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin, and this is hour 2 of the show where we are going behind the headlines and digging deeper on those stories and issues that people are talking about. And in this hour, we seek to bring understanding about issues that sometimes can be confusing. And in this hour, we're talking about entertainers who do drag and the bills that have been enacted across this country to prohibit these entertainers from dressing in drag to perform at nightclubs, to perform in other venues. Now, Tennessee was the first state to pass a bill barring what they called adult cabaret performances on public property or in places where they might be within view of children. The bill bans, among other things, male or female impersonators who provide entertainment that appeals to what they say is a prurient interest or similar entertainers. Violators may face misdemeanor or even felony charges. Now, driving support for these bills is obviously these lawmakers' discomfort and distaste for expression that they believe defies conventional gender norms. The growth of library drag queen story hours, programs that feature drag performers as a way to provide as they say, queer role models for kids, have led some to question whether young children should be exposed to those who defy traditional gender patterns. I'm going to talk to 2 entertainers in this hour who do drag as they perform in different venues. Joining me is BoyGirl Robert Garcia, a nightlife entertainer, and Anila the Dow, who also entertains in drag. Thank you and welcome to both of you. I want to start with you, Robert. So a lot of folks, I know you and I talked before the show started about how you identify, and you told me that you identify as non-binary. A lot of folks struggle with that term, what it means, who's non-binary. So just give us, your explanation, your definition, or how you define non-binary.
Yes. So, non-binary is something that I definitely, I even myself, I'm educating myself as it develops the classes and things like that, because it's a big umbrella, For me, being non-binary has just been being gender neutral, being gender fluid. I call myself a boy girl because when I was 13 years old and my parents wanted to know what I identified as, that was the only explanation I had. I didn't know what non-binary was. I didn't know what if there was a space for me. So I would say boy girl essentially is just really someone who kind of doesn't fit, like it's more like gender non-conforming. You're not really fitting in the female or male spectrum. Essentially you stay in the middle, or you just feel free of just doing both and not really having any restriction.
So what does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis, Robert? So obviously your name, Robert, most people would associate that with a boy. Those that are listening and not watching on our streaming platform, I can see that you have these beautiful long cornrows. You got some gorgeous lashes going. You got that makeup beat. So you're looking rather fabulous. Now, again, most people would say boys don't do that. Guys don't wear long cornrows and beat their faces and wear long eyelashes. Some do, but, traditionally boys don't. So how do you express the boy part of Robert? Is it just your name, or are there other ways that you express it?
It's my name is definitely the big one, because once I'm like, I'm Robert Garcia, people are like, that cannot be your name. So that's obviously like the first one. But essentially it comes out really in my non-conforming ways. Basically, I have times where I have no makeup on and I still, excuse me, ma'am. And that's really where it made sense for me, because even the public, without, the glam and the glitz, still saw me in either the feminine light and sometimes the masculine. I feel like it really depends on the experience that you're you have with me. You know, I have people that have only seen the masculine in me, even when I look like this. So ultimately, it's just me kind of being free in my gender, not really following necessarily what it is that pertains to like a man or a woman. Today I did my daytime job with no makeup on, and you know, I still get the miss or hey, that guy over there, and it doesn't offend me. I am a boy and a girl. Like for me, it's actually comforting when you already see that from the beginning.
Okay. So you don't mind if people refer to you pronoun wise as he or she?
No, even if I look like this, you know, this is me at a supermarket. This is me at like family events. Like this is literally me waking up. But the thing is, like I said, you know, the glamour and the glitz is fabulous. But ultimately, even without it, it's a gender neutral lifestyle that people just kind of naturally understand. And the people who don't, you know, like you get the people like, are you a boy or a girl? Once you start telling them I'm both, you know, how can you be both? And then they want to get into like, you know, they want to get into the science of things. But the reality is that's just what I feel inside. And I've always felt that way. I've never wanted, you know, funny story, my father, his name is Robert Garcia, and he was like, you should change your name, you know, since this is how you look. And I'm like, no, that's my name. He's like, you sure you don't want to do this? Like he started almost pushing me, and in a sense he was trying to support me in any sex change surgeries and things. And I'm like, no, that ultimately doesn't make me happy. How I am is just
how
perfect.
you are. Yeah. I got it. Okay, how about you, Anila? Get in this.
Yes.
Do you identify as non-binary? How do you identify?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I know I have my headphones in. Yes, my name is Anila the Doll. That's what I go by. It's my stage name. And I, too, identify as non-binary. It's been a journey. You know, it's been a real journey get to this point with being able to identify how I feel, you know, what I am based on how I feel and you know, on a daily basis. Growing up, yeah, it's been a journey. So I definitely feel that my queerness has, you know, has gone in levels, you know, as far as identity. At one point, I was just a regular little gay boy. Then the next point, I felt trans, and the next point, I felt, you know, this and this and this and this, up until this point where I feel non-binary. I do. I'm not bothered by the terms he, him, she, her. They don't bother me. Yeah, I'm just not bothered by any type of, you know, terms people choose to call me in public based off of what they see. Because, you know, as you see right now, I'm Jamal. But
I know when I looked at your name, I'm like, okay, is this Anila or Jamal? Okay, so sometimes you go by Jamal, but you did say Anila is your stage name. So tell me how you got into entertaining in the first place.
Okay, so I started off doing theater in high school. Fell in love with it. You know, I grew up loving music anyway. The first thing I ever wanted to be was a background singer for somebody big. You know, that was my first dream. If you had 10, 11, and 12 years old, what I wanted to be, I can tell you that's what I wanted to be. I early on, I had an ear for music. So after high school, you know, of course, I didn't complete school or whatever. You know, my major, however, my major was theater in community college. Did a little of that, and yeah, I decided to go my own ways. Due to, you know, how I felt about myself, you know, where I'm from, which is Mississippi. There was not a big drag scene. There was not a big openness and a big welcome as far as being gay, and it just wasn't. And so I ended up moving South Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, where the drag scene and it's just the club scene for gay individuals was there, and that's where I kind of found my first tribe. That's where I found the stage again, and I started off going to the club just with them. My friends, a lot of my friends that I had become acquainted with in Jackson, Mississippi, were drag entertainers and club kids, and they were just involved in the club in ways that you could see them expressing themselves and having that freedom to do so. So I would just go to the club with them. I was a baby in the clique. So, I would just go to the club, carry the bags, and do all the things. And until I started paying attention to how they were on stage compared to how they were off of stage. It just seemed like they would take everything that they had been through, from the week before, and just pour it out on stage. And not only did it make me miss the rush that I got from doing theater in high school, but I was at a point in my life where I was very, I was trying to figure myself out,
Right.
And so there were a lot of dark moments, and drag is what allowed me some type of light in that moment. So
I'm getting chills. I'm thinking about Pose. I'm getting chills because I love the movie Pose.
Yeah, definitely.
I recommend anyone who wants to learn about the drag community should definitely watch the series, the FX series Pose. It is phenomenal. Billy Porter and the other actors in that. And it was so educational, but so moving. And I fell in love with the characters. And when you talked about the journey and some dark periods, I mean, we got to live that through young kids who were finding their sexual identity and having the rejection of their parents and their friends, and having to go out into the street and prostitute themselves just to make a living. I mean, it was so raw and so real. And then to see those performances, like you said, to see them come to life when they would dress up and just perform, it was just so incredibly powerful. All right, Robert, what's your story? How did you get into entertaining and doing drag? Jamal's story is so powerful. Tell us yours.
I mean, Anila's story is very similar. You kind of start stepping into the scene. So I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've been writing music for a very long time. Music was my drive, and I booked my first show. I was underage, but it was like an open stage, and I booked my first show. At the time, performers really didn't sing live, and they loved the songs that I was singing. I started to then book shows through my music. So I started becoming popular through like social media and rap songs that I had. So I would get the bookings based on that. And to be honest, every time that I've ever kind of stepped away from nightlife or doing shows has been the most depressing time for me. Like at this point, I do about 4 shows a week, and I can't see my life not doing the shows because this is the happiest place I'm at. My partner is a drag queen, and we do shows. So like this is pretty much my entire life. My family, my grandmother be in the club with me, supporting me. So this has become my life where everyone around me is hitting the stage, including Anila. Anila and I recently did a show together that was really fabulous. Yeah, I gotta see.
Well, let me ask you both this. When you all dress in drag, so you, Robert, is there a particular character that you dress in all the time, or do you just wake up on that morning and say, look, today I'm going to be Diana Ross, the next day I'm going to be Whitney Houston? How do you decide?
So, I get inspired, but for me particularly, people, this is my lifestyle. So essentially, I'm just getting ready to do a show. I'm just this Robert Garcia getting ready to do a show. I'll do my makeup as I would. I go in my closet, pick the most fabulous outfit based on the event, based on the crowd that I'm expecting. The better the outfit, the more the tips. So, it's a lifestyle for me at this point. I do say that I'm inspired by everything I see on TV. And if I get an idea, I'll mix it up. But essentially, I kind of just move to my own rhythm. I just kind of go, like I said, I just kind of do my own thing. That's my inspiration, is really knowing that I'm about to hit a stage and put it all there. You know, I'm singing live, so these people are just eating it all up.
Yeah, Anaya, when we come forward, I want to ask you, who inspires you? And I also want to talk about these bills that have been enacted across the country to really ban the kinds of shows that you all typically perform at. What do you think about it? And this myth that somehow by dressing in drag and performing, you are corrupting children that might see you in your various outfits. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest spot. Shot with a rest spot. Shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Bounce is back.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics, art, music, culture. We do it all on the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show. If you're not tuning in, then you are definitely missing out. It's the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, weekdays from 2 to 4 only on unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Like a brand new flavor in your head. Yeah.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect for what you do is you have a historically informed conversation of depth and detail.
Be sure to tune in to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on your unapologetically progressive radio station, KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
I'm young, gifted, and black. And KBLA
KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your black. Your black.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest spot, shot with a rest spot, shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Bounce is back.
Here comes the brand new flavor in your head.
Race, social justice, sports, politics.
You are listening to Areva Martin in real time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin. And in this hour, we are talking about entertainers who do drag and why conservative lawmakers across the country are so obsessed with the way they entertain. Now, the First Amendment gives us a right to express ourselves through our clothing. The Supreme Court has upheld that right repeatedly, but somehow these lawmakers in states like Texas and West Virginia and Tennessee are out to ban individuals, both men and women, who dress in drag to perform. I'm talking with two drag entertainers, BoyGirl Robert Garcia and Anila the Dow, about their performances. So Anila, tell us about your inspiration. So Robert said he just wakes up and however he feels, he just goes into that closet and comes out with something fabulous. I'm hoping that both of you can share some photos of yourselves as you entertain and some of the outfits that you wear. But tell us, Anila, who are some of your inspirations?
So a lot of my inspiration comes from the women in my family. Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of my inspiration started off coming from the women in my family. When I started doing drag, that's what I would think about, most like my mom. I was adopted, so I would think about my biological mother a lot too. She was the one that was the most fashionable. But yeah, just a lot of the women in my family, my sisters, my cousins, my aunts, and a lot of the women I would see on TV.
Okay.
And I knew I experienced going through something or making it through something. I kind of took that aspect and put it in my drag. So
okay, so you're inspired by women who've gone through some obstacles or tragedies and who have overcome. Robert, so these bills across the country again try to ban male or female impersonators who provide entertainment that appeals to what they call a prurient interest or similar entertainers. And the point is, they're saying is that somehow if children are viewing these shows, that it's going to be harmful to children. Now, what do you do in your shows? And is there anything that you believe would be harmful to a child in your show?
So no, it's a simple no.
You just said you're singing. So what, is there?
So I'm singing my music, and, I have rap songs that may have a cuss word or two. But then at the same time, I have ballads, So for me, essentially, I read my audience. I've never done a show that has been kid friendly, which I get booked to do them, but I've never done those shows inappropriately. I do consider the audience, I consider the children. Fun fact, just recently I was actually asked to be the host for the Ella Baker Public School that is in the city, in New York City. And it was incredible because in that moment I was hosting, I got to sing one of my songs called Baila Baila. The kids jumped the stage. It was like so much fun. But something that struck to me was, there was a young kid that came out of the closet, as we say, through a poem. And he mentioned that it was because I was booked as the host that he built the courage to tell that story. And, I think that, I understand that we want to protect our kids because so we, anybody of the LGBT community also wants to protect the kids. We want to protect the kids. We also want to protect non-binary and trans kids that exist in this world. I'm living proof. When I come from a family of a bunch of boys. I'm a twin. He's a boy. So I understand the cultural expectations and society, what they expect. But ultimately, I was never happy because I felt like I had to follow those rules. It wasn't until I was able to express myself as an artist through my music. I'm singing about love. I'm singing about heartbreak, but I also like to sing about working. What's the difference from the mainstream artist right now and what I do? The difference is that I'm doing it in a nightclub, or I'm doing it for, everyday people for probably a quarter of the fee,
Yeah. So, Nyla, the claim is somehow that dressing while you're a man, dressing as a woman, they call it female impersonators, that there's something unwholesome about that. That's what these laws say they're out to ban, is this unwholesome activity. Do you think that anything that you do in your performances qualifies as being unwholesome?
Absolutely not. I want to start off by saying that, I was raised, of course, Baptist, in a Baptist family. Through the religion of Christianity, I was able to form my own belief of God and the thing that I believe really is pushing, this human race. And so I try not to, be disrespectful in any type of way in my performance. I try to use songs that are uplifting. I try to use songs that are, impactful, that can touch you in an emotional way. But like Robert said, there are times when I am feeling myself and I am happy about who I am and making it through the things that I've made it through, that I want to pull a Beyonce, pull a Beyonce to a little booty shaking number out or something,
See, nobody would say that Beyonce performing is unwholesome. We see people, buying $1,000 plus tickets, traveling across the globe to go see Beyonce. Lizzo, I mean, we can read the role on performers that do things that quote unquote could be considered unwholesome because of the way they dress, etc. I want to ask you this, Robert. One of the things that people get wrong, I think, about people who are in the LGBTQ community is that you all are out to proselytize. You all are out to indoctrinate little kids with your philosophy, that you're out there trying to get every little boy and every little girl to, quote unquote, turn them into gay kids. Help folks understand why that is just ridiculous and that is not what gay people do. You're not out there trying to turn the world gay.
Yeah, listen, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thought process. Like there's so much proof to prove that it just doesn't work that way. There was nobody that I was following to be who I am. I felt it deep inside and I've always felt it. Something that just kind of comes up to mind is the fact that I really feel like ultimately the target is trans people and non-binary people. I don't think it's drag queens. They're using drag queens as the road to get there. But if you look at where it's going, it's ultimately telling people like myself, non-binary people, that I can't wear a skirt because it's not assigned to my gender.
Right.
And that's where it becomes a bigger problem because, okay, let's say if nightclubs shouldn't have 3-year-olds in there. I get that. But what happens when I'm living my everyday life? What happens when I'm going to one of these tax firms to pay my taxes looking like this? I'm getting, it's being told that it's impacting someone else in a negative way when all I've ever received was a thank you. Parents thanked me for empowering their kids. I have nieces and nephews that are not LGBTQ+, but they're so open-minded to other people because they see that their uncle, some of them call me uncle, some of them call me gunkle, some of them call me titipio. It's not doing that impact. And I don't understand where they're connecting it, but that's why I have to say that the target is trans and non-binary people, because drag queens are here making people smile, making them happy, and ultimately making a living.
Yeah. When we come forward, a great point, Robert. When we come forward, we want to talk about that. Are these laws really an attempt to get at, punish, and really cause intimidation for people who are trans rather than so-called protecting children? Stay with us. KBLA Talk 1580.
Is the pen mightier than the sword?
They say the pen is mightier than the sword. At KBLA Talk 1580, we not only have a lot to talk about, we have a lot to write about. Politics, relationships, business, empowerment, and culture. The all-star roster at KBLA Talk 1580 has you covered.
That's what it's all about.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials for our latest book releases, op-eds, essays, and commentaries from our hosts. And, of course, download the KBLA 1580 app as we strive to remain your most trusted, credible, and reliable source for the issues you care about. This is unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
What up, baby?
I'm young, gifted, and black.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Your black. Your black.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest spot, shot with a rest spot, shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites.
We are back, and I am talking in this hour with Robert Garcia, who calls himself BoyGirl Robert Garcia, a nightlife entertainer who does entertainment in drag, and Anila the Doll, who also entertains in drag. So, Anila, let me ask you, do you think that these laws that are being enacted, so far 32 of them I've been able to count in over a dozen states, are really targeting individuals who identify as trans and those that are non-binary?
Yes, I do agree with Robert. It's drag queens are not have never been focused on what are they saying, grooming your children or trying to grow your children up faster than you would like them to grow up. I honestly think it is targeting trans people, especially trans people who really put a lot of effort in the way they look as far as in public, and I just don't see it, but I still don't see it being a thing that is a big thing for children, because it's for the adults who can form their opinion on the way you look just by the way you look immediately. When children, they don't see the same things as adults see. They don't look for the same things when they look at people. So I definitely feel like it's for trans people, trans men and women. So.
Yeah, I tend to think so too. I don't think obviously this is about protecting children because, as you said, Robert, children shouldn't be in nightclubs to begin with. They shouldn't be there whether they're watching a heterosexual, a homosexual, a queer person, a person entertaining in drag. There are laws that prevent kids from being in clubs around liquor, where liquor is served. So if this form of entertainment is happening in places where there are adults, so even if it's happening, as you said, Robert, you were a hostess at a school. So I don't see what is wrong with you hosting an event at a school around kids if you're not singing songs with explicit lyrics, or you're not engaging in any kind of activity that would otherwise not be wholesome no matter who engaged in it. So I don't think it's a matter of who's doing the activity. It's a question of what is the activity that they're engaging in. And we should be targeting the activity rather than the person engaging in that activity. I want to ask both of you, have either of you participated in these drag queen story hours that happen at some libraries?
So I actually haven't been a part of it. I've gone to them to support, but I have a lot of close drag queen friends that do them and are well known for them. And to be honest, that's why I started feeling comfortable with doing like hosting events at public schools and things like that, because originally I was like, I don't know if a kid can relate to me. That's really what I would say. I'm like, maybe not a kid. It wasn't until I was seeing Drag Queen Story Hour where some of these kids, you have to see them light up when they see someone who is just free. I know so many little boys that want to wear dresses, and believe it or not, it has nothing to do with being trans. It has nothing to do with sexuality. Sometimes they just love the dress. They see, you know, Miss Frozen turning it on TV and they're like, I want to turn it too. You know, I've seen that happen. And another point that I want to bring up is I've seen people, you know, kids have proven that they see me as Robert Garcia like this or without it. You know, I have cousins that are like, oh, my favorite cousin, and I'll have no makeup, sometimes a little mustache, but they still see the same thing. And I've never seen them change their actions. I've never seen them take anything negative. If anything, it's happiness that we've always shared.
And let me ask you this, Anila, about the term drag queen. I was asking Robert before the show, you know, is that a negative term? Has it become negative? Do folks who do entertainment in drag, you know, yourself and your peers, are you okay with being referred to as a drag queen?
Honestly, like I said, terms don't bother me. Drag queen, drag performer, entertainer, because I'm all of those things. But I guess it can be used in a negative light. I guess people can. Some entertainers can, based off of how they identify, how they look at themselves, can, you know, take it in a negative way. Whether being called a drag queen when they feel that they're entertainers, or they feel that they're just a performer, or drag is not because the queen deal is it's the queen. It's not so much drag. The word drag is the word queen, and yeah, terms are very, very sensitive, you know, today. So.
Right, you got to be so careful. That's why I'm asking. So, Robert, I know you said you don't refer to yourself as a drag queen. What's your relationship with that term, drag queen?
So for me I feel like what I do is a part of doing drag. Like it's a part of the umbrella. I know some drag queens that are live singers and live entertainers. So it is under the umbrella. And that's why I say, but let me just make this point actually we spoke about earlier. You know, when I first started, I identified 100% as singer-songwriter Robert Garcia, boy girl, favorite boy girl of the world. Most recently, I featured on an MTV episode. Well, I didn't feature, it was an episode about me. And they were the producers were like, you know, what do you identify? Like, what do you say? What are we going to say to be appropriate and correct? And I remember just saying drag because I knew that the world would understand and relate to that more. But most importantly, I started to carry the badge of drag because I knew that people were trying to ban drags. So I was like, no, now I'm a drag, and now I'm going to full-heartedly support that. But essentially, my issue with me just kind of saying that I'm a drag queen is that I don't want to not validate my preferred pronouns and not validate my identity as being non-binary. You know, I feel like even within our own community, sometimes when you say you're a drag queen, they look at you as just that and assume that you go home to live as a man, full blown. That's not the case. You know, for me, like I said, this is me on a every day. I'm just walking down the block, singing a song. You know, like this is literally what I give. But I know that holding that title of a drag queen is going to open the minds of the people who are judging, but most importantly, it's going to impact the community that is giving me stage and giving me platform. If it wasn't for drag queens, I will not get the stage and the publicity that I get from my community, because drag queens who do this, like I said, I have multiple jobs, I have multiple businesses, but I know drag queens that this is what they do 9 to 5, like this is their life.
Right. Let me ask you both of you real quickly. Are there people that you know who dress in drag, who perform as drag, but who are not members of the LGBTQ community? Can you be just a straight guy or girl and do drag?
Definitely be a cisgendered person and do drag. And you know what? Let's go even further. I know people who do drag that do not perform. I know people who dress in drag just because that's what they want to do for the day, and they don't never hit a stage, you know.
Because I would imagine just because you do drag doesn't mean you have talents or skills, right?
Okay.
Oh,
that's a fact. Okay, but yes, yes.
Well, I asked that question because people, again, when I started the show, I wanted us to help folks understand a lot of these terms and what they mean. People have so much bad information, misinformation about the LGBTQ community, about the terms, and particularly about entertainers who do drag. And you guys have been, you all have been so amazing and so honest and so transparent and have helped me learn so much about what your lives are like. And again, I go back to anyone who wants to learn more. Obviously, I hope you were listening to the show today. You can check out the podcast of this show because there's really a lot of good information, but also check out Pose because it also walks you through that journey of what so many boys and girls and men and women go through who do become performers and who are incredibly, incredibly talented. Thank you so much, BoyGirl Robert Garcia and Anila the Doll for joining me in this hour and for helping us understand drag. And to those conservative lawmakers that want to ban drag performers, please focus more on the actions and not the people, because it doesn't matter if you wear a dress or a pair of pants. If you're doing something that lifts people up, let's let people lift up other people. We need more love in this world for sure. Amen. I'm out, y'all. You can follow me on all social platforms at Areva Martin. The next voice that you hear will be Robin Ayers and the Raw Report right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're not listening to Tavis Smiley weekday mornings on KBLA Talk 1580, you're missing out. Everybody wants to talk to Tavis.
That's one reason, by the way, why I'm so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. The three people I always most hoped would interview me were Phil Donahue, Studs Terkel, and Tavis Smiley. Donahue's retired, Terkel's deceased, so this is a real thrill for me. And the reason why I have such respect